Yes, so look in the barrel of the camera and then...
My name is Talica Davis, and I'm here. My name is Talica Davis. I was born and raised in rural Nova Scotia, in Gasbro, Nova Scotia, and I moved to Vancouver 9 years ago. I am the middle child. Growing up in rural Nova Scotia was a blessing and a curse. It was a beautiful place to grow up, friendly people, really sort of a lot of freedom, a lot more freedom, I would say, than kids these days are afforded. But because it was rural, there was nobody else like me except for my sister. In a school of, 500 kids, myself and my friend Jean were the only people of color. And so it was a little isolating at times, but it was good. It was good. I think a lot of who I am today is because it was such a small and charmed place. But it also might be why I'm here today and not back there anymore. So I knew I was different when I was a kid because I looked at my mom and she didn't look anything like any of the other moms or any of the other women that were her friends or who we hung out with. She, had a beautiful afro, brown skin, she had an accent, she was different. And so I knew that I was different because of her. It wasn't super apparent to me though that I was different from my friends. Like I didn't see that my skin was a little darker than theirs. I did notice my hair. My hair was frizzy and curly, and all I wanted was like limp blonde hair. And instead I have this. So that is kind of when I started noticing I was different. I mean, at first it was because I looked at my mom. She was very visibly different. And then as I grew older, I did notice that things were different about me. But because I'm mixed, it was more, I think, in cultural differences with how I was being raised. I think all of my siblings and I dealt with and experienced racism growing up. The first memory I have was I went to get the mail one day after school, and someone had written KKK all over our mail, and I didn't know what that meant. I didn't know what the KKK was. And I was just like, that's weird, someone wrote in our mail. And so I took it to my mom and I'm like, Mom, someone wrote in our mail. And she was upset, and I didn't know why she was upset, and she went and showed my dad, and they had a discussion about it, I guess. And then they told me what the KKK was. And I remember feeling, and every time I experienced racism or discrimination, I felt like this. I felt A, embarrassed, and then B, incredibly ashamed. It was like a horrible, horrible feeling. And I wouldn't even be able to talk about it. Half the time when stuff happened, I wouldn't tell anyone because I was just so ashamed, which is a shitty way for a kid to feel. It kind of breaks my heart. The other time I was playing soccer, and I got the ball away from some kid. I don't know how because I suck at soccer, but I did. So that must have meant he sucked way worse. And he called me a nigger. He was like, you fucking nigger. And I couldn't believe it had happened. I was like, oh, I must have misheard. I'm not a nigger. What does that even mean? I know that's a horrible word, or that's what I thought it was when I was young. And I felt shitty, and I couldn't talk about it for a few days. And then I told my mom, and she told me that I had to tell my teacher and the principal, and I was like, no, please no. But I did, and it was a big ordeal. He was suspended from school. And then I had friends come up to me and they were like, why did you have to tell? Now, Marshall's been expelled. And my immediate reaction was why am I getting punished for experiencing what I experienced and then sticking up for myself? This is bullshit. And that was kind of pivotal for me. I was older, I was in grade 6, and so I knew what he was doing was wrong. And even though I didn't have a huge strong sense of self, I was a 12-year-old, I still knew it was wrong, and then that's when I started being okay with basically not letting people talk to me or treat me like that, and making it known that I wasn't going to stand for it. So it was kind of the pivotal point for me. I stopped internalizing it. So growing up with a black mother and a white father, when I was aware that it could potentially be a reason why people didn't like me or treated me differently, sometimes I'd be like, why did you have to get married? Why did you do this to me? And then later, as I grew up and I matured, I realized I had this like major respect and profound appreciation for them, because they were a mixed race couple in the 60s and 70s. That was hard. That was still like a new thing. They were trailblazers. And so, yeah, there was like a deep sense of pride as I grew up and got over it wasn't about me. I asked myself this the other day. Like, I'm pretty passionate about talking about the Black rights movement, BLM, what's happening in the US. And it's because I care, like I have experienced racism. I do know what it's like, not to the extent of anything that's happening there right now, but I've still experienced it and it still fucking sucks. I'm just so happy that I don't live there, and I asked myself the other day, if I did, would my voice be this loud? Would I blog about it? Would I talk about it? Would I bring it up all the time? I have no idea. I hope so. I feel pretty privileged that I live, privileged. I'm acknowledging my own privilege, and that privilege is the fact that I am a minority, but it's half, and a lot of people don't even know, and they don't. And so I exist in a space where being a minority, being half black, did not, I still had a ton of opportunities. That's privilege. I exist in this leftist, democratic bubble. I have no real gauge on how things are over there. I mean, I have a lot of friends here. We discuss it philosophically because we can, because we don't experience it firsthand every day, day in, day out. What pisses me off is when people deny that it's a problem or that it exists. To me, it's kind of like people denying that the Holocaust happened. How can you say that? We already know that there are so many laws that are written in place specifically designed to oppress black people. That's not some shit we made up. It's a fact. That is systemic racism. So, for people to just deny that it exists and things are so much better, things aren't so much better. They're exactly the same. It's just we now have, it's hidden. It's not as overt as it used to be. It's still a massive problem. The reason people say Black Lives Matter is because they have been put into a situation where they feel like it doesn't. They feel like they don't matter. And if you've been paying any attention to the treatment of black people at the hands of US law enforcement, it doesn't seem like their lives matter. It doesn't, it really doesn't. So, all lives matter is just, those are 3 words that I wish were never ever be used consecutively again. I feel like such a pessimist when I say this, but no, I don't think that racism will ever go away. I believe that it is human nature to identify things that make us different from one another. And it's human nature to want to align yourself with people that you think are similar. I just wish it wasn't human nature to feel like you've got to use those differences for exploitation or to better your position. But I don't think racism will ever go away. Oh, unless aliens come to Earth, because then we'll all have to be united for this cause of fighting the aliens. That's it. Hello? Hello? Where are you? I'm real. Like, I keep it real. I will tell you exactly what I think, even maybe when I shouldn't. I don't sugarcoat things. I'm going to make my thoughts and opinions and my voice heard, whether you like it or not.